So, hello, Ronia. We're joined by you this evening. Well, it's this evening at the moment, to have a chat about your presentation at the NLP conference next year. So, your topic is a very interesting one: rising from the ashes, facilitating recovery from narcissistic abuse. Now, I know we had the privilege of talking to you last year because you were an awards finalist, but do tell us a little bit more about you and your presentation next year.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Karen. It's lovely to see you. And yeah, so my name is Ronia Fraser. I'm an award-winning trauma recovery coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm an NLP master practitioner and trainer, hypnosis trainer as well, havening techniques practitioner. So there's like a whole list of different tools that I use in my private practice. And as you just mentioned, this year, actually,
Yes.
It's
over a long period of time.
Yeah. I was finalist in the NLP in Healthcare Award, which was a huge honor for me. And yes, my topic is all about narcissistic abuse recovery. And narcissistic abuse is one of the most common but least acknowledged and least understood forms of abuse, which has a detrimental impact on the mental health, the quality of life of the survivor. And it's literally everywhere. And people start talking about it, but nobody really talks about what can be done about it. And that's what I do. It's my specialty. So I feel very privileged to be invited to give that presentation, because what we are seeing is more and more clients coming into therapy coaching for the help from narcissistic abuse, because it's a thing now, right? It's become a social media buzzword. And I found NLP to be incredibly powerful to facilitate a healing. And that's why I would like to share that with my fellow NLP colleagues, either for themselves or for their clients. And that's what the presentation is going to be all about.
Wonderful. So what will delegates take away from your session then at the conference?
So we will be talking about what narcissistic abuse really is, because it gets thrown around a lot, especially on social media. So what is it really? How can we recognize it? What to look out for? What to listen out for? And then I will share an introduction into my work and how I facilitate the healing. And as I mentioned, NLP is a very vital part of that. So I will be giving an introduction how we can use different modalities, different NLP techniques for very particular purposes, maybe a little bit modified for that particular purpose, and how we can then actually facilitate the healing in a really gentle but also very effective way.
Oh, that's beautiful. And as you say, it's becoming more prevalent, isn't it, in society, and it's maybe more recognized than it was once upon a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 5 years ago, nobody would talk about it, whereas now it's a thing. But then at the same time, it's also important to add value to it rather than regurgitating what's already there. And I'm super passionate about the healing because I've obviously gone through it myself. You don't end up working in this field unless you have. And that's why I'm so passionate about talking what we can actually do about it, because cause and effect, right? Are we going to be victims, or are we going to actually take responsibility and do something about it? And as coaches, as therapists, it's of course our responsibility. It's our job to hold that for our clients when they can't, right?
Yeah, exactly. Holding that space for them until they can get to a place where they can, and empowering them to be able to do something about it.
And because the common narrative is there's nothing you can do, it's just bad luck, that something bad has happened to you, but they couldn't be further from the truth. And because it's just so widespread, we often only talk about romantic relationships, right? But it actually can happen in a workplace, it can be in a family, it can be a sibling, it can be a friend. And it's really about raising the awareness so we can recognize it, and then what we can help to facilitate, or what we can can do ourselves to
Yeah.
actually protect ourselves from toxic people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very powerful, isn't it? So, is there anything that delegates can do beforehand to give them a deeper experience of your session?
Not really. They can be pleasantly surprised what I have in store for them. And I think I would actually like to invite everybody to leave everything they think they know out of the room and come with an open mind. I will be sharing things that you may already know. I may be sharing things that will completely blow your mind. I may be sharing things that maybe push some buttons. But that's just what it is, right? And it's such a complex topic. And yeah, I really would like to invite everybody to just leave anything they think they know outside and see what they take from the session.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. Thank you. So the conference next year, like the conference this year, is being delivered in a virtual environment. So how are you planning to add value for delegates in a virtual environment?
Well, for me, the virtual environment isn't anything new. I've actually been exclusively virtual even before COVID because I work internationally.
Brilliant.
And I think for me personally, the value that virtual has added is, first of all, that we can reach way more people. Yes. Because people don't need to travel. You can watch it in the comfort of your own home. You can watch it in your own time. You have 6 months to watch the replays. Yeah. And yeah, I think for me, virtual is just normal.
And that's very powerful as well, because if that's the medium that you normally work in, then presumably that means that other people can then do the same. So what you're sharing means that actually they can do the same in a virtual environment. So
absolutely. And we can touch on that as well, because as I said, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, exclusively online. And I can touch on that with like safeguarding and those kind of things, because obviously we're talking about dealing with complex trauma. So there have to be certain safeguards in place to be able to do it. However, it's as effective as it is in real life.
Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. So what does the NLP conference mean to you then?
I love the NLP conference. I think it's my 4th or 5th, something like that. And I love us all coming together and sharing and being inspired and being challenged to think out of the box, meeting new people. I love the networking part. I've made really, really great business connections. I've made really great friends at the NLP conference. I was introduced to people I then went on to have training with. And it's just a really incredible, really positive event where you can literally, it can take you anywhere you want it to take you.
That's so lovely and so true, isn't it? It's that same cause and effect, isn't it? I think somebody like you who puts a lot into it, and therefore you get a lot out of it, and it's it's great that you've been attending and speaking now is fantastic. So it's very excited to have you join us next year.
I'm very excited.
So, I mean, really, that's all we have to cover. I think it's really important to again point out to people that you are speaking at the conference next year. You're speaking on Sunday, the 22nd of May, 11 o'clock BST, and it's a 90-minute presentation. So enough time to touch upon and find out a bit more about recovering from narcissistic abuse. And I think that's the key thing: recovery.
That's the key. Absolutely. And I will also leave enough space for questions because what I found is that it's very difficult actually to get somebody who can answer your questions in an actual professional and healthy way. So I really would like to encourage that conversation as well. So we will have enough time to get any of your questions answered in the context of NLP, in the context of narcissistic abuse, whether it's in a relationship, in a family, in the workplace, whatever it may be. And I'm very happy to answer any questions where you maybe feel stuck or you want to learn more. And again, it's not only for people that have experienced narcissistic abuse, and there are so many more than we actually think when we first think about it, whether it's you having a professional curiosity because it is such a big topic, or you had somebody walk into your practice to just ask for help, but you weren't quite sure what to do with it, whether it can be really anything that brings you to the session. And depending on what your intention, of course, is for the session, that's the answers you will get.
Yeah, and it is about expanding awareness, isn't it? Because it's, as you say, it's an area that is not necessarily as well known as some other topics. So I think it's really important that you'll be there to raise that awareness. So thank you, Ronnie. It's been lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Really looking forward to your presentation at the conference next year. And I think you've given us a lot to think about. So thank you.
Thank you.